former Vikings linebacker and sideline analyst for the vast and ever-expanding KFAN Minnesota Vikings audio network, joins to chop it up regarding some football. And don't forget, at Nacho Leber via Twitter, at Nacho Leber via X. Follow if you are so inclined. And Twin Cities Live today, 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5. Twin Cities Live. You know, the show is anything but stupid, meshes pop culture with news and events, and is that of hilarity, poise, and creativity. Ben is the co-host, so watch today at 3 on Channel 5. Sponsor, CCRF. And when you, Pete, and I got together Tuesday and chatted at the Vikings Museum, the Children's Cancer Research Fund came up. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Really appreciate CAPS for having us out. They did a great job. And out of nowhere, they're just like, hey, we like to do these donations for any of the speakers that come in. And they're like, hey, we know that you work with CCRF. And like, we'd love to make a donation. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So, got to tell the group of, 70, 90 people there that, about what they do and how they help out children with cancer and their families. And, it's a national nonprofit that's based right here, and they help out there's sort of like this umbrella that sort of helps out all these different hospital systems and different groups. So every dollar you donate goes right to the kids and the families, not just here, but nationally, and not just the major hospitals. It's all the small ones too. So appreciate that.
I feel pretty good about the Vikings winning this weekend, and I have my reasons. What about you?
Yeah, I feel pretty good too. I love what you put on, what you told us, and you kind of broke it down on Tuesday, just how we bounce back from some of our losses, our tough losses when we don't play very well. And, I certainly think that is the nature of where we're at, where our team is still trying to find its groove a little bit. And it may just sort of end up like this as the season goes along, a little ups, little downs and all that stuff, not playing super consistent. But the thing that gives me a lot of optimism is that we didn't get beat by Baltimore. We didn't find ourselves in a situation like we did with the Chargers, where it's like, man, I know that we are off, but that was just a better team than us, and they really hammered it to us. The Ravens were not the better team. And knowing that we can correct those mistakes during the course of the week, we should be able to correct those pre-snap penalties. We should be able to correct those things as far as getting the ball down the field, maybe making the wrong decision, throwing a double coverage, stuff like that. I don't think we're going to make those same mistakes. Now, I know this is a different team. They have some different challenges, but we have a really talented team. And when we play smart and we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, I think we can win this game.
I was asked this morning on a Mike Florio PFT Live podcast with the false starts, why? I mean, just simply like what led to that voluminous number. He started off by talking about the very early in the equation accusations that the Ravens were messing around at the line with their changes and not necessarily going, they weren't egregiously doing something to mock a cadence that would lead to it. Then Kevin O'Connell came by the radio show Tuesday at 11 for X's and O's, asked him about it, and he was like, no, we've broken it down. That was not the reason why. So I'm just going to ask you. I mean, here we are, X amount of days removed from the loss to Baltimore, three days in front of the next one, with the false starts, having thought about it a little bit now, like 8. Why?
Well, it does seem like, I think they're sort of like dancing around it, but it seemed like there was something that was different with the cadence that they were trying to do differently this game.
Right.
And,
wow. Okay.
I do think that it'll be an easy fix, whether it's just simplifying things or whatnot. The one thing that I will say is that's different from last game to this game is I actually think that this game is probably more important to have some pre-snap shenanigans with their defense, because their defense does do a lot of rotating with their safeties. They try to do some movement pre-snap. They really do a good job of disguising and being patient, and they'll blitz from a static position. They'll blitz from off ball. They'll blitz from depth. And I think that gets really difficult. So any edge that you can get where you mess with cadence, you come up to the line and you try to just get them to to rock on their toes a little bit, and they tip a blitz or they tip a movement, I think that's going to be really important for this game. And unfortunately, we're coming off a game where we're probably going to have to simplify it, and we're going to have to not go up to the line and
kill, ready.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think this is the game where you probably need more of that. And we're not going to see that. So we'll have to battle through that as well.
It's even during the game call when it was happening. And, I think I came down to your chat with Pete and I was like, this has to be something Caden's related. So I actually stopped being like 3 receivers left, tight end right, 2 tight ends. They're balanced here. This guy's here. That guy's there. 2nd and 7 from the 20. And just did a little of it. So to stop talking, to hear what was happening at the line. And I don't know if you could notice this, but McCarthy's, and again, it's audio level of field side mics and stuff. It was louder and more biting and direct than I recall. But, we don't have a lot of examples here either. But so I started listening to it during the game call after like the 4th or 5th. It was one of the ones in the 4th quarter. So what you say, I definitely can buy into about 9 out of 10 here with the cadence change. And they just weren't in lockstep with it. And I think that's really most evident when Justin Jefferson has a false start. He has 9 penalties his whole career. That was the 2nd false start of his career. So, people can get after anybody for whatever topic or reason they concoct or is legit, period. My man doesn't take many penalties, and he doesn't take any false starts. So that I think the cadence bit's the answer.
Well, the one that's the most telling to me is when McCarthy false started. If the quarterback is not 100% sure when he's going to receive the ball, well, then there's obviously some sort of disconnect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's the one that's getting the call into his helmet. He's the one that's disseminating the information to the rest of the players. And he was somehow confused on when the ball was coming out. So,
right.
Yeah. So I do now that game's in a rearview mirror. Yeah. I mean, it's not ideal. You heard Wes talk about it. He was embarrassed by it. I think we all were, because this is a team that prides itself on being self-disciplined and not creating those situations where we're giving up free yards to the defense. So, yeah, let's all just hope that was the one anomaly, and we hope we never see that again. We never ever see 8 false starts on the at home or on the road ever in our lifetime. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to happen this game.
I would qualify Ben Leber and his relationship with Harrison Smith to be quite close. As former players and players go, or analysts and or players go. I've seen you guys together before, and I know you have a lot of respect for Hitman. It's his 200th game this weekend. And you played with a fair amount of really, really good players during your decade-ish career in the National Football League. Playing with Harrison, I bet you really would have enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah.
He started in 12. You finished in 11 or 10, one of the two.
11,
so just barely missed each other. But you guys really, really would have enjoyed each other.
Oh, I absolutely would have. I mean, I would have. I love his demeanor. I love his approach to the game. I think the one thing that we all appreciate about other players is you may go out there and you may be a journeyman type of guy, right? Where you just don't really catch on. You might have you might carve out a 5-6 year career. We're never the guy. If you came in and you prepared and you worked your butt off, and we saw how much you cared about going out there and how much you cared about your performance and your preparation, dude, everybody respects a guy like that. So take that times 100, because what Harrison's been able to do actually on the field is incredible. And then to know the way that he prepares and the leader that he is in the locker room, a guy that you can watch as a young player and be like, all right, if you want to see how a pro does it, this is how a pro does it. I loved playing with those guys. I mean, it did sort of chap me a little bit when you see guys that don't take the game as serious, and they might be great players, they might be Pro Bowlers, but you see how the way they just kind of like disrespect the game from a preparation standpoint, and they let just their talents take over. It's like, we love that you're performing for us and you're helping us get wins and stuff, but man, dude, if you just cared a little bit more and you put a little bit more in, like, you'd be even better.
Right.
And he's the opposite of that. So ton of respect.
Well, interesting you said that. And with respect, first thing that comes to mind for me is Adrian Peterson. And I don't know. I mean, I know Adrian pretty well and have over the years. Likewise for you. So therefore to say he didn't just pour over everything you possibly need to study, it's interesting that Antoine Winfield and Adrian Peterson were on the same team, because getting to know them both well, you would hear certain things from one person, Antoine, and then certain things from another person. But Adrian, it's like when people, when people this day and age, when there's like quarterback turns around, running back's not there, went the wrong way, taps his chest, my bad. I'm thinking, okay, that happens, but it doesn't happen a lot. And I just wonder what goes into it, from a study standpoint. Well, with Pete, not everybody's Adrian is what I'm getting at. And he could not look at things for a long time. And, well, actually, the hole's over there, Adrian. Cool. I'm going to jump cut and go 82 this way. And he had the ability to do that and outrun mistakes.
Yeah.
Not everybody no. A few are able to do that. Thus the study and how much time like Cousins put into it, you put into it, Harrison put into it. Man, that really matters.
Yeah, it really matters. And the thing is, I laugh and I chuckle about that because I wasn't athletic like that. I couldn't over athletic my mistakes. Right. I didn't have that sort of superpower like that some of these like ultra talented guys are. So I had to get the edge of, all right, well, I'm pretty sure the ball's going over here. I'm pretty sure I know where to go if they run this play. Like the way I was able to deduce things down to help myself out, because if I false step and I was guessing, I was cooked. I didn't have the short area quickness to like make up for some of those things. I wasn't the strongest guy to get off some of these blocks if I wasn't playing with great technique. So I had out of necessity, really prepare so hard just to survive out there.
And see, in watching back the Vikings and Ravens, and there was a moment where it was the Mark Andrews touchdown. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not saying Josh Metellus had no idea what was happening. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I saw Harrison Smith wave to him down in the end zone once, and then he came over a little, then hard twice. No, bro, you're not in the right spot.
Yeah.
And then Metellus freezes, touchdown to a wide open Mark Andrews. And then they kind of come together, Harrison and Metellus, as they walk off. Harrison's he's not the demonstrative type that's going to be like arms out, showing somebody up. Josh kind of galloped over to talk to him, and they walked off together with Josh doing all the talking. I don't know what they said, but you could just kind of tell that something went wrong there and that Smith was ahead of the curve on where everybody should be, Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing is like if you saw it the way you are kind of laying it out and we all get the idea that he was trying to get Josh in the right spot and like to cover whoever it's going to be in that area, whether it's Andrews or somebody else. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me that he knows. I mean, you get down the red zone, and the thing is, a lot of offenses sort of pare down what they're going to do, and especially this part in the season, when you see certain personnel groups, and then you see the formation, and then you see the split, and then you see the guys that are in those splits and in those positions. If you're doing your tape study, and if you are really cataloging those things in your brain, you got a pretty good idea. Like you can get probably to 80% certainty that this is the play they're going to run.
Yeah.
Now you have to marry that up with what you're doing defensively. Like, okay, well, if I'm in man to man now, I got to play this because this is the route combination, whatever. And I think they're in a zone situation on that play. Yeah, you got to tell your guys around you, like, this is the play that's coming. This is where you got to make. My guess is he was probably telling Josh, cheat. I know that you're in your landmark.
Yes.
I understand that this is where you're supposed to be.
Bingo.
But this is the time where you can cheat the defense to give yourself the advantage, and that's where savvy vets come in.
Yeah, I couldn't think. Yeah, that's perfectly explained.
How would you sum up Harry's 2025 this far? I mean, he misses the games on the front end, and you see him, and you have those moments like that. This kind of plays in maybe to an opinion that I have that could be right or wrong on Metellus and the year that he's had. But what do you think about 2-2, year 14 in purple?
It's been okay. I wouldn't say it's been amazing. I know that it's been a struggle to get back to 100% and to play all snaps of the game at 100%. We saw, I think, his playmaking ability really shine in that Lions game, the way that he's able to dictate the defense and be the catalyst for every pre-snap motion and movement. He's elite at doing that. Made some plays in the backfield. I think he's taken a step back physically, when he is either in the tackle, the primary tackler, coming in on the tackle, like he's just not approaching, I think, the ball carrier with as much ferocity and violence as he once has. So I think that's part of the game it's been missing a little bit. But from a pre-snap savviness and intelligence, I think he's right there near the top. The physicality's probably waned a little bit.
So as a safety group in general, whether it's Theo that's in and out, he's got the concussion, it sounds like he's going to be back, et cetera, Metellus. So earlier in the season, I kind of had an opinion that Metellus was, just bad luck central from, you look at the Philly game and that A.J. Brown touchdown where Metellus has him for a few seconds, but he can't defend him for 7. And Jalen Hurts gets outside, little street ball, points it deep. It's a touchdown. But I'm starting to see more and more moments where Metellus is kind of late to the scene, where Metellus does have these instances where Tutu's pointing him in a certain direction, and there's just something off about his game. Am I reading that the wrong way? Am I reading it the right way? Any opinions on that? Because I think that impacts that group back there if one of them is off.
No, it certainly does. With as much movement as we do and disguise that we do with our safeties, these guys are a really, really important part of the defense and how everything flows. And I think when you're losing Theo and now Josh has to kind of morph into a different type of role, I do think that it's understandable where he's maybe not in the same position as he was. And he's playing a little bit out of his normal spot as that hybrid guy, that in the box guy. Now, hopefully we get back to that, knowing that we have 3 safeties healthy this week. But I think everybody sort of knows, at least I never really saw Josh as a straight man-to-man coverage guy. On certain players, sure, I think that he can match up. But you look at that A.J. Brown situation, that's a big-bodied, fast, athletic wide receiver on a double move in which he's playing the sticks in that moment. He's playing the down and distance based on what the game situation was telling us. It's a great call by the offense to run a double move there, especially with the matchup that they had. That's a tough draw. I understand that they won that one. But I also understand what Josh was thinking. I'm going to play the sticks real hard, not for them not to move the chains in that situation. He gives up a big play. I think that because of injury, he's been out of position for most of the season.
Okay.
I'm excited to see him back on Sunday.
What are some of the best routes to confusing Caleb Williams?
I think it really comes down to we just have to capitalize every time we get our hands on him. I'm not so sure that we have to drastically change our game plan against him. We did a really good job of bluff bailing in our first game. I think it confused him. I think that it did what it was supposed to do. It messed with his reads. It messed with his coverage and his progression. Now, he's a markedly different player now under Ben Johnson than he was in game 1, so we have to give him that credit. But to me, we still were able to get to him. We were still able to get into the backfield. We were still able to do some of those things and confuse their offensive line and their offense. We just have to capitalize on bringing him down. And I know that's a lot easier said than done because he is a Houdini back there. But so for me, it's not so much, do we have to reinvent the wheel? No, I don't think so. I think that we stay true to who we are. We might change up some things here and then, maybe some tendency breakers. Maybe we do a little bit more bailing out so we get more guys in coverage. And if he does scramble in certain key situations, we have more than just one guy trying to make an open field tackle. But especially if Grenard is back and it sounds like his shoulder injury is not as serious and we're expecting him back and we have Gink back there, which we didn't have in the first game.
We need Grenard to practice today, even limited. It was a DNP yesterday, but anyway.
Yeah, very true. But, I think that our defensive front is well equipped to handle him based on our scheme. And I don't think that we have to change up a ton. Just win your battles and get the dude on the ground.
What has impressed you most about the Bears in this 6-3? I chronicled it on Tuesday. They're 15-41-1, the opponents that they've beaten. Okay, so it's like you're beating up on bad teams, but I think belief makes them dangerous. That was kind of the theme of what we talked about on Tuesday, and Jeff Joniak, their Vox, kind of echoed that earlier today. Is just this team believes. But anything that just popped out, whether it's the running game, et cetera, just like, man, I mean, these Bears are kind of figuring it out.
The Bears, to me, get better as the game goes on. And I think that's proven in some of the stats. They're not a fast-starting team. Caleb crushes the last 2 minutes of every half. His second half performances, as far as air yards down the field, is better than it is the first half. And so I think
nailing it.
And so I think that that's very impressive. And I think, you win on third down defensively. And they're number 2 in the league in takes. They have 13 interceptions. Yep. That's incredible.
The whole thing's insane. Plus 14 in the take give.
Yeah. The fact that they're 6th in the league on third down, they have 5 interceptions itself on third down. They will put you in those really uncomfortable situations. And Dennis Allen, he comes in every week. I've read articles where these players talk about how excited they are to come in on Thursdays. They know that Thursdays is our third down blitz day. They know that Thursday is the third down, creative day where they find out something new that Dennis Allen and his staff has put together that they may not have even seen. And they're like, he does such a good job of pulling things out from 5 games ago where we thought that defense was put to bed or that technique was put to bed, and he'll bring it back, but then he'll have a different nuance to it. And so that excitement level for these guys to get your team into third and long, it's contagious with them, and they look forward to it, and it brings fear into the offense. And that is one of the biggest key points that we have to go into this game. We cannot be in 3rd and 8 plus. Yep. Cannot. Everything that we can do to be 3rd and 3 or less is going to help us out, because this is where these guys feast. They do such a good job with their disguise packages. They do such a good job with their blitz packages, and they will take the ball away when it's in the air.
The Chicago Bears have held opponents to 7 of 46 on third and long situations. Third and long would be qualified here as 6 yards or more. Second best in the NFL. They're getting giving up first downs 15% of the time, narrowly behind Green Bay at 13. That's an elite point.
Yeah. Well, and I'll even take that a step further. The stat I have is when they're 3rd and 8 plus, they're holding offenses to a 39.3 passer rating, which is the best in the NFL.
Oh, geez.
And you look at us conversely on all third downs, and we're 31st in the NFL. So our offense is not good on third down, regardless of the down and distance, and they're elite at third and long.
Yes, sir.
Kid QB, game 5, what do you think?
Look,
dramatic pause. Jeez.
It's quite calculated today.
I know.
It's going to be calculated 3 to 4:30 on TV, and then they're going to have to cut a segment.
We got a big day today on Twin Cities. It's our Thanksgiving show. It's just a lot of food and wine today. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
going in basically not eating lunch.
Do you make anything and bring it in, or is it all made?
No, it's all being made.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have different people coming in for every segment, different food item.
Yeah. Are you going to gobble up the gizzard?
I won't. I don't think I'll take part in the gizzard.
No gizzard?
No.
Going to get your hand up in there to get the gizzard?
I like that dark meat, though. I'm saying that.
Can you answer the question? Finchie's on Finch. We have Finchie in 7 minutes. We're messing around with getting up in there looking for dark meat and gizzards.
You just got an extra 45 seconds to put it all together mentally. Smart move.
Tap dancing a little bit. I'm very excited to see what he can do. I really truly believe that he takes every single snap and every rep as a learning moment. And you heard KOC talk about it. He was with you, PA, when he talked about, looking at some of these plays when they're watching film together. And he's answering the question before the question's even posed to KOC. He's like, yeah, if I had that play over again, I'd probably, I'd not take that second hitch there. And he's like, that's 100%. That's what we're going to work on this week. Like, I think that his cerebral game is just going to continue to help accelerate his development, not just like get better, from one offseason to another. Like, I think that we're bound to see dramatic improvements in his game week in and week out. And I think he's going to learn, hey, when it's 3rd and 6 and you're stepping up in the pocket because you're feeling pressure, do you need to force a ball into double coverage? How about you tuck that ball down and you run for 6 or 7 yards and pick up a first down? That's as good as anything else. So I think learning to play the game a little safer, control the game management stuff like that. Don't always look for the big shot and the explosive play. Sometimes it's just nice to move the chains and live to play another down. And so I look forward for him to play cleaner football, better decision making in some of those critical moments.
Elite. Don't forget 3 to 4:30 today, Channel 5, Twin Cities Live. It's a show that's anything but stupid. It meshes pop culture, Thanksgiving, gizzards, turkey, dark meat, news and events, and is one of hilarity, poise, and creativity. And I can't wait to watch. See you this weekend. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via X. We got some cash to give away, and then we're going to walk up to Finchy. Chris Finch, coach of the Wolves, joins 5 minutes from now.
The Fan and Two Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket, National Cash Contest style. This hour's keyword is deposit. Use the keyword deposit at KFAN.com. Might win $1,000. The keyword deposit at KFAN.com.
To New Radio is back in the air. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, is set to join us quite shortly. Vikings and Bears over the weekend. That's at noon on Sunday on KFAN. That'll be a day after Chris Finch's team plays the Denver Nuggets, second part of a back-to-back. And lo and behold, here comes the head coach now, Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thank you, Second Harvest Heartland. Everybody, go to twoharvest.org, see how you can help, specifically this time of the year with Thanksgiving approaching. Even just a little bit, $1, $5, $10, really, really helps others in need. And you can learn more at twoharvest.org. And here's Chris Finch. Chris, Paul Allen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. So I know you get Sacramento and Denver, and I don't know if you got somebody on Monday that requires travel, but here's the point, is the media relations conduit, Aaron Freeman, one of our favorites, big-time Chicago Bears fan. Bears are at Vikings this weekend. Timberwolves have tickets that happen to be super sweet behind a visitor's bench. So, you're an Eagles guy. I'm a Vikings guy. I mean, Freeman's team is 6-3. Is he getting loud over there?
Oh yeah, he's getting real loud. You know, wasn't so loud after week 3, but he's getting real loud right about now.
Yeah, and well, just remind him before we move on. It was the summer of free, not the winter of free. Okay, so hopefully you heard all that. Now you didn't let that Knicks loss ruin your birthday the next day, did you?
I tried not to, but the guys delivered with a resounding victory on the day after that. So all is forgotten and we move forward.
What were you doing at first half last night? Was there like a big Prince cover band or something?
There was Zach Lowe was in town with his podcast, and it was his first ever live podcast. And it was great. Packed house full of really passionate Wolves fans and good energy in there. And it was myself and John Krasinski from The Athletic, as we all know, covers us, and then Dante DiVincenzo. And it was just good. Good time, good vibes, lots of fun laughs.
Now, for those who don't exactly know who Zach Lowe is or what he does, I mean, he has like close to 1 million Twitter followers, and I've never met him, and I haven't listened to any podcasts, but his presence is quite prominent on social media and in the podcasting world. But like with Zach, what makes him so well respected around the league?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Zach was formerly at ESPN, and now he's with the Ringer, and he started out as a writer with Grantland, and he's just an in-depth guy. I would consider an NBA expert. He gets in the weeds, he gets in the numbers. He used to have one of my favorite columns, which was his weekly list of 10 things that he would make notice about the league. A lot of it would be analytics driven or just kind of crazy little trends or things that he found interesting. And that's what I love about him. In a world where a lot of times we're talking about anything but the game and what's going on in the game, he always found a way to bring his, articles back to what's happening in the game. Not about, crushing players or coaching decisions or organizational failures and all these other things that seem to get clicks now. He wrote about the game, and he writes about the game. He's a super smart guy, Dartford, Ivy League educated, has a, typical Northeastern kind of sense of humor. So I kind of connect with that. And, but yeah, I just found him extremely, entertaining and also, intelligent.
Well, that's fantastic. Zach Lowe's the guy's name. He was at First Avenue last night doing an on-site podcast in Minneapolis, and Finchy and Johnny Athletic and Dante DiVincenzo and others were there. That's really, really cool, man. All right, to your team. Yesterday I saw a clip. I wasn't at the press conference or the post or pre-shoot around talk. And you said, quote, your team's defense is off the mat and now needs to start swinging. Has that coincided with the return of Anthony Edwards?
A little bit, but I think it's, it gives us another point of attack defender. But I think it's really coincided with Rudy, kind of Rudy's awakening here. He's been extremely active, challenging everything in his area, Jaden is back to, his normal self on and off the ball. I think those guys, a couple of weeks ago, we kind of called them out and asked them that they had to be better. They had to get back to who they were, and they've delivered there.
So what you're saying is, off that defensive question I formulated, Zach Lowe would have started with Gobert, and I started with Edwards.
No, not at all.
Well,
the timing is, listen, Anthony gives us so much personality.
Right.
The other thing that's happened, at the same time Anthony came back, Jalen Clark came back.
Mm-hmm.
And Jalen Clark gives us some defensive personality. He makes things happen out of nothing. Another really, really good on-ball defender.
Mm-hmm.
He's a possessions guy. He gets you steals. He gets you 50-50 balls and rebounds. These things kind of go under the radar at times, but they're always kind of going on.
No doubt. And I think at the 13-minute mark, 2 podcasts ago for Zach Lowe, he compared Jalen Clark's defense as a new age Fat Lever and T.R. Dunn, specifically when it comes to on the ball. So that's just beautifully laid out. I'm just learning so much right now.
That's where you have it over Zach. Zach's not going back to the 80s references. So
yeah, that's gotta have something, man. You got 3 chins. Haven't felt my ribs in 30 years, but I know who T.R. Dunn is. Don't leave home without it. Rudy Gobert, 10 blocks the last 3, all wins. Shot blocking, there's more to it, I know, but shot blocking Rudy is the best kind of Rudy, right?
Absolutely. If he can block shots, particularly early in the game, set the tone, create some deterrence, that's when we see him at his best. And then, kind of pumps a lot of energy into our defense as well.
And 11 into it for you guys, Chris. You're at 41 rebounds a game. Does that number need to increase? 41 rebounds a game on average?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. We're always looking at things that on the horizon. Well, we don't have to look to the horizon. We have to look in the rearview mirror. The Knicks crushed us on the glass, even Utah. Their rebounding percentage, was a little higher than expected. We made them miss a ton of shots, but the volume was big. They got 16 offensive rebounds against us. So, it's something that we're trying to zero in on here. Everybody expects big guys to rebound, and they have to, but I'm a firm believer, like, you're not really going to be a good rebounding team until your smalls, your guards really rebound at a high level, and we got to get more from them right now on the glass.
Chris Finch, weekly 9 to noon, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, twoharvest.org. Please take a peek at twoharvest.org. Chris is on the board. It's very important to him. It's very important to me. Most importantly, it's extremely important to a lot of kids around the country. Twoharvest.org. Now, the 3-point game, you guys are top 8 in makes at 14 a game, but a little below mid-pack in attempts. So are you looking for them to chuck up, obviously responsibly, but shoot more threes? Are you looking for that?
Yeah, I think, if we've been creating a lot of really good looks. I think there's a few more to be had out there. Some of that volume, quite honestly, is a little noisy when you look at it statistically, just because, Anthony missed those 4 games, and that's probably 43-point attempts that we didn't really replace.
Yep.
Maybe we replaced some version of them. So there's some of that volume is a little inaccurate, but I think overall we're doing some pretty efficient things. We have the number 1 effective field goal percentage in the league, and that points to the fact that we are getting fouled, getting to the rim, and finishing at a high level. I mean, Rudy's 88% at the rim in the last 5 games, which is pretty impressive. And that's been another key to our offense. We came into the season wanting to try to unlock Rudy a little bit more and find him a little bit more when he's open, and guys have done that. And, when you make 4 out of every 5 down there, it's pretty good.
So if teams are high with ineffective field goal or ineffective whatever you just said, does that mean they're shooting a bunch of mid-rangers and not getting to the line?
Yeah, generally. It's effective field goal percentage, PA, is literally just the percentage you shoot if you count threes. You give an extra half a point to a 3-point shot made. So, or an extra 50% rather, not half a point. So it just takes into account 3-point percentage, where you're actually getting the extra point per shot made. And then it also takes into account the points you're getting from the free throw line, which aren't normally taken into account into shot attempts. Like if you just look at regular field goal percentage, if you get fouled, it doesn't count as a shot attempt. But it certainly does count into your overall offensive production. So they're kind of like bonus points when it looks at effective field goal percentage.
All right, so Sacramento's here Friday, then Denver Saturday. You keep getting those Nuggets second half of back-to-backs. What challenge does that pose, especially against them when no travel this time, but second part of a back-to-back?
Well, they're a challenge no matter how and when and where you're playing them. So, I think we try to focus on them and the things that we can do and things we've tried to have success with them in the past. We have a few different kind of game plans, if you will. When you're on a back-to-back, of course, you want to get off to as best start as you possibly can. You generally, sometimes on back-to-backs, the start can be a little sluggish because the energy until guys find their legs. But having said that, we've been a pretty good second night of back-to-back teams over the last few years. And it's not something that we really talk about with our players. Like big believer that I try to remove all the obstacles and all the excuses along the way, and then just go out and play the game as it should be played. And then, guys can't really lock in on something like, hey, I was tired.
So off Malone into Adelman now with a lot of film. What's different with the Nuggets with David Adelman leading the charge?
Their offense is probably maybe a little more fluid. Maybe less play calls, a little bit more concept-based. Their defense is really kind of what's driving them a little bit more at the moment. They've got, they went out and they They added a couple, plus defenders in the off season, which is really helping their defense. Their offense is, when you look at the numbers and everything, it's largely the same. Of course, Jokic is at the heart of everything and driving it. Murray's off to a super hot start. They have kind of consistent shooting. So they've done a really good job of adding complementary skill sets to their roster. It feels a little bit like their championship team, when you look at the things that they have and the things that complement their best players. But it's really where their defense has kind of grown. And they're doing a good job there of, mixing in zone, man. Of course, they rebound at a really, really high level. And they just got better defenders,
Lastly here, so that's Denver Saturday, Target Center, and Friday, Sacramento. You beat Sacramento by 27 out there a couple of games ago within the week. That they are 3-8. What did you notice about them that night? Because they seem to be in quite the rough patch right now.
Yeah, they're going through it. Every team at some point in the season goes through it to some level. They're obviously not off to the start they want. They've been challenged a number of times by their coach. At some point they're going to put it all together. They have a lot of talented players. They have a lot of guys who can really get going and, get on a roll and almost beat you all by themselves. They've struggled through some early season kind of injury consistency, mostly around Sabonis, who's a big driver of the way that they play. So it just doesn't feel like they've settled into who that they're going to be yet. And when you're playing teams like that, it's really important that you kind of jump on them early so you can continue to kind of maybe increase some doubt in their mind rather than allow them to find the confidence in who they are, because they are a lot of really good and proven players. And those guys they just need to see the ball go in, and they just need to get their mojo back from doing their thing. So
go Vikes, beat the Bears. Go Eagles, beat the Lions after you beat the Green Bay Packers. And we will chat next week, all right?
That'd be a great weekend. BA, yep. Thanks.
Yep, see you, bud. Thank you, Chris. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org.
News to Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. You got NFL Pro Pick'em opportunities, chance to win some money just by going to Shakopee picking the NFL games this weekend. There's going to be an open tree lot on Black Friday, 10K giveaway, all sorts of cool stuff. My encouragement would be to go to CanterburyPark.com. My encouragement would be to tune in to Thursday Night Football. Patriots hosting the Jets. The Patriots, a chance to go 9-2. And they're catching the Jets post mini fire sale, you could say. Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams going out the door. A chance for Travion Henderson and those Pats, and Drake May, your current MVP odds favorite, to improve to 9-2 this evening in Foxborough.
He's yeah, you said that early in the week, didn't you? He's favored to win the MVP.
Yeah, as of yesterday, he was tied with Matt Stafford at 3-1 to be the MVP, Drake May.
What do you think you could have gotten that into the season? 50-1?
Oh, after that first joint practice, I mean, yes, correct. So there's
not just with my opinion.
There's somebody. I think there's somebody sitting on a fat 30-1, 40-1 type ticket, something like that. I will say next segment that we'll dig a little bit deeper into that game, maybe from a fantasy perspective, as Paul Charchian joins us.
Yep.
And I'll just kind of
let me hit you with this real quick.
Okay.
Patriots minus 13 tonight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Say we're in the 7:02. We get there at 2 in the afternoon. So I mean, may not have an opinion on it, but we're there. So Patriots minus 13. And the over-under is 43.
Yeah,
What would you do?
Well, I would probably give the points at this stage. I just think at Foxborough, Jets, cute little performance, or at least an attempt, I should say, a week ago post the moves and everything. I just think they're a dismantled, awful operation.
Got it.
And I just have too much respect for Vrabel at this point. So just to have some action, I would lean on the side of the minus 12.5 or 13, whatever it is, the Patriots winning by 2 touchdowns. Looking at the injury report, we will be watching today, as PA mentioned with Ben Leber. Jonathan Grenard did not participate yesterday with the shoulder injury. Chances of him playing really depend on what you see today. So limited in some capacity. You want number 5'8" on the field in practice. You heard it during the presser yesterday with Kevin O'Connell. J.J. McCarthy hit his hand on a helmet on a play. I believe it was where he threw that dart to Jefferson in the end zone as Jefferson was going to ground, and hit his hand on a helmet, so he has a bandage of some sort on the top of his hand. It's been said by all involved that should not affect his ability to throw the ball. Russ Wilson, he's Mr. Unlimited. We're Mr. Limited, whether it's Will Fries, Aaron Jones, Ryan Kelly returning to practice, 21-day practice window open, McCarthy, Metellus, Oliver School, Harry the Hitman, 200th game ahead, Van Ginkel. So health-wise, it looks like eventually we'll find our way to a mostly full group, just really watching and paying attention to Grenard's status through the week.
And the Chicago Bears, their Wednesday practice report was quite voluminous.
It was indeed.
I mean, you got who didn't practice for whatever the reason for them. Kevin Byard III, who's the bomb. The other safety, Jaquan Brisker. TJ Edwards, linebacker, won't play. Grady Jarrett, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Tyreek Stevenson, Jade Walker, and tight end Cole Kmet. Holy cow.
Wow, busy list. So that bears mentioning, and of course we'll have more on that tomorrow during the Friday Feast in Lakeville. But when we return, from a fantasy perspective, Paul Charchian gives us his thoughts on games this weekend and the NFL. Looking forward to the final hour ahead.
We'll take you to church around the corner on KFAN.